Hello, my dear students. Once again, a very cheerful morning to all of you. I hope you all must have performed well in your pre-midterm exams and waiting anxiously for your results. So, by the time you get your results, let's start with the July month syllabus. And for that, we'll be going to start chapter number 3 from your English reader, that is Chilling at the North Pole. As the chapter suggests, the name of the chapter suggests, in this chapter, the author is going to take us through a journey to the North Pole. He describes his adventures and the sights so clearly that one can even visualize everything. So here, the author is going to tell us about his journey to North Pole. Yes, very few people go to this place. As we know, North Pole, it's the coldest place and one of the most difficult places to reach. So here now we are going to read about the adventures and the journey of author to the North Pole. So let's start. So now the author starts by telling how he undertook the journey. So when he began planning for this trip, many of the people did not encourage him. Most of them told him about the problems he would encounter and how difficult and challenging it would be to go there. He was also informed about the extremities of the weather and the fact that the region had hardly experienced any human traffic. Yes, most of the people discouraged him. People told him about the extremities of the weather and also that very few people go there, so it is not so safe to visit North Pole. But the author had been to almost all the places on the planet except for the two places, that was the Arctic and the Antarctica. So this was the first reason why he made up his mind to go to the Arctic, because only these two places were left where he had never been. So now this trip was as much as about the travel as about the challenges that lay ahead. So it was not just a simple trip for him, it was about the challenges which he is going to face ahead. So first of all, he arrived in Bergen, which is in the southwest of Norway, to take the ship to the Arctic Circle. So the journey began from the Bergen. Bergen is the name of a place which is in the southwest of the Norway. From there he took the ship to the Arctic Circle. And then he began a 12-day journey, of which 5 would be without any form of communication. Yes, no internet, mobile or any form of contact with the outside world. So it was a 12-day journey, out of which 5 days he would be without any form of communication. It means no internet, mobile or any other form of communication would be available for him. So now all of you can imagine how hard or how difficult this journey would be for him. So now from Bergen, the journey he started up to the north, passing the amazing Norwegian towns of Trondheim and Troms and sailing towards the Isle of Rundle, which has the largest number of Arctic birds. Then the author also saw the Seven Sisters, which is amongst the world's prettiest waterfalls, and it was on the 6th day of their journey that they saw these prettiest waterfalls. So while moving there on the 6th day of their journey, they saw the prettiest waterfalls there, whose name was the Seven Sisters. Now, moving ahead, the author encountered tons of flat floating ice, and on the 8th day of the expedition, he saw the amazing wonder of ice and snow. So as he moved ahead, as he was about to reach the north zone, that is North Pole, that is Arctic, now it was time to see lots and lots of ice and snow, and the temperature was dropping to minus 32 degrees. So it was really bitterly cold over there. So now in between all the glacial walks to be done aboard the ship, at least 3 to 4 lectures on the subjects like Arctic birds, polar bears and the whales you would find in the Arctic Ocean. So there the author had also heard about the Arctic birds, polar bears and the whales which he was about to see there. Now there He saw blue whales, which was considered to be the biggest animal on the planet, and the humpback whales besides belugas. He also saw skuas, the most intelligent of all the birds. So now, after seeing these whales and the birds, more magical wildlife lay ahead. So he knew now more magical wildlife would be there to see, which he will be seeing while moving ahead. So as he moved ahead in the expedition, he tells us that there is no sleep there for two reasons. Yes, the author says he could not sleep there for two reasons. And what were the two reasons? First of all, there is no nightfall. Yes, there is no night. You cannot see any nightfall in the Arctic. Further, sightings could happen at any time, and you could get only 10 minutes to wear at least 5 layers of clothing and your boots and jump onto the zodiacs to see the wildlife that had been spotted. So the other reason was that you could see the sightings at any time. Sighting means that the act of catching sight of something, means you are waiting for some wildlife animals or the birds, special birds which are found over there, and so you could spot them anytime, and for that you should be always ready, because it takes time to wear so many clothes to protect yourself from the cold and even wear the boots. So they could not afford to sleep, they were always awake. So one such morning they happened to spot a polar bear, and it was 2 a.m. in the morning. So one such morning they happened to spot the polar bear, and it was really amazing to see the polar bear in the ocean freezing to death, and they watched that polar bear for hours and hours before he just eventually went away. There they also saw a bearded seal lazing on another piece of flat ice. Yes, the second creature or the second animal which they saw over there was the bearded seal, and they spent almost 4 days in that coldest and the fiercest weather. Yes, they spent over there the 4 days. For 4 days they were in that fierce weather. And there also they encountered reindeer. Another animal which they saw there was reindeer. Yes, the same animal which you must have seen carrying or just pulling the sleigh of Santa Claus. Yes, the animal which is used to pull the sleigh of the Santa Claus, the reindeer. They also spotted the reindeer over there. And then with such an experience, the marvelous experience the author had, he says that he had no words to explain that, and he says he can never do full justice to just put the whole experience into words. So he says the Arctic was not just an expedition, it was the beginning of another life, one in which you move away from the usual and seek what is often ignored. So he says that was not just a journey or an expedition, it was just another start of a life, a new life in which we move away from all the normal things or the usual things which we see around, and we see the things which we often ignored, which we common people don't pay attention to. So this was his journey to the North Pole, the Arctic, the marvelous journey which he experienced. He has also explained you all the birds and the animals which he saw there and the experience that he had. And in the end he concludes it by saying that it was such a wonderful experience that he feels no words can do full justice to it while explaining. So I hope you must have understood this explanation of this chapter. So it is just an experience, the author's experience of his expedition to the North Pole. So here comes the end of the chapter. Now tomorrow we shall discuss its back exercises and the question answers. Till then you must give a reading to this chapter to have a better understanding. So till then, my dear students, stay safe at your home and just go through the lesson once. Thank you and have a nice day.